Okay, I'm back. Part two. So we get to Dr. Charbonnet's office, and he has a list for Bubba to follow on what to eat, what you can't eat, what he can do, what he can't do. When we're gonna start the chemo, when we're not gonna start the chemo, what the chemo is gonna involve, this, that big old binder first. So at first Bubba didn't read it. He brought it home and he just sat it on the bar like he does everything. And I said, "You read your pamphlet?" He said, "No, not yet." It's like he just didn't want to think about it. So first of all, we had to go put in a port in his, this side, his left side. So Dr. Ned was going to do that. So Dr. Ned said because of Bubba's drainage he was having down there, he was going to go there and clean that out while he did the port. So let's see, that was on, let's see, we're into May. Well, it had got real red and it was draining a lot. And he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go when I go in to check to put in your port. I'm gonna go ahead and check that." So when he came back from surgery, he said, "Lori, we had to cut him again." I said, "Dr. Ned, what happened?" He said the port was fine. He tolerated the port fine. He still has his port, no problem. He said when I went in to drain, he said it was bad. So I had to cut him open and we have to leave it open. I said, "Leave it open? How are we gonna?" I said, "How are we gonna do that?" He said it's gonna heal it has to heal from the outside, from the inside out, or he's gonna keep that right there. He said, "I'm gonna call home health." Another problem. He said, "We're gonna call home health and we're gonna get them started with y'all, and they're gonna come and they're gonna put in a wound vac. And what a wound vac does is it sucks. It's a suction and it goes into the body like that. And they put it on a machine to, like you do in meat, like you seal in meat. You seal in that sponge inside that hole." He said, and he's going to have another drain. And we're going to have to do that until it closes. I said, "Oh my God, here we go. More closing, more complications. That's what I will call it." So the home health lady came, and they were so nice. We had Acadian Home Health, and they would come every 3 days to change it. Every 3 days. It was very painful to change it because they had to undo that suction, and then they had to pull that gauze out, throw it away, redo it, resuction it up. Well, it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it finally did good. All of the pus was out and all the gook was out, and he wasn't draining no more. It was just an open wound at that time. So we went to the doctor, we undid the thing, and we showed Dr. Nair what it looked like. And it was, you could see it was about that long and about that wide at the time. And you could see him breathing inside. It was nasty. I had never seen that. So Dr. Nair said, "That's what we want. It's getting good meat on the side. It's getting red on the sides. It's starting to heal. It's going to go back together. But you still have to do wound care." So we did it for exactly, let's see, shoot. I have every time they came change it. I was trying to see when was the last time. Every time they came, it would look better and better and better and better and better and better. Let's see. I see, that's why I have my book, because I'll tell you, I don't know. Okay, on June 1st, it says home health came, incision looks almost closed. Okay. Okay. Dr. Shaw, after it was closed, we went to Dr. on the 5th of June. We went to Dr. Charbonnet, and he will start the chemo next Monday. So he ran for some blood work and to see how he was doing on that. He started chemo on June 10th. Yeah. And it was going to be very potent. It was rough. The first few times it was nothing. He didn't feel nothing. He would go and he had to stay for 3 hours and come home every day for 3 hours and come home. On Thursdays he was off, but he still had the pump connected to him. It was like it would go 24 hours, but the bags they had to give at the place, he had to stay there in case he had a reaction, because you can have reactions, you can have heart problems, you can have all kinds of stuff with chemo. And he would go by himself. He didn't want nobody to go because it was a long time. And he would wrestle, talk to he got to know a lot of the people. Uh, uh, he would go and come home, eat, and go rest. That's all he did all day. And then on Thursdays was his off day. He didn't have anything, no pump, nothing. And then Friday morning he had to go back and have injections of B12 and stuff like that to keep his immune system up, because he had no immune system. That's why we couldn't go nowhere. We haven't gone anywhere. We have not gone to a restaurant, sit down and eat for 6 months. 6 months. And I'm telling y'all, it wasn't as hard as y'all think. We could do takeout, and we had each other, but that was it. We couldn't go to weddings. We couldn't go to funerals, which I took hard. Because if I would have went and came back with something and give it to him, we'd have been in more trouble. The kids would come and they would make sure they had no colds, whatever. He could be around Marley because Marley was up to date on shots, and he didn't go to daycare. Now, if Marley would have went to daycare, he could not have seen his grandfather for 6 months almost. So we lucked out on that. Marley came here every day so he could come see his papa. So we just stayed away. We stayed away from everything. We just saw the people we needed to see, and that was it. He didn't want to see nobody else. He didn't want, So Father's Day came and left, still on chemo. This is middle of June. The chemo started making his legs swell up, which Bubba never had problems with that. He's always been an athlete. He's always go, 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 go. And he couldn't do anything. So his legs started swelling up, and it was from the chemo. It was from a lot of fluid, So they started giving him Lasix to get rid of the fluid. He started getting a little shaky, which we knew was going to happen. In fact, he still has the shakiness. He has neuropathy from the chemo. We are hoping he's taking medicine for it. We are hoping it goes away within 6 months after the chemo stops. If it doesn't go away within 6 months to a year, it's not going away. His gait is off. He goes to the side sometimes. Goes to the side. But he can drive. I don't know how. His fingertips, he can't feel his fingertips. He can't feel his toes. It's certain little things he can't feel anymore. Well, in June, everything worked out. And they told him he was ready to go back to work. And he was ready. He works nights, it was perfect. If he would not have worked nights, he would have lost his job, and we'd have lost everything probably. Him working nights helped us because he would get off, come home, rest a little bit, and go start his chemo. Sleep a little bit over there, or, talk with the men or whatever. Come back home, eat a little bit for lunch, and go to bed. So it worked out like that. He never needed a lot of sleep. but the fatigue started getting worse and worse and worse. And the fatigue is still bad on him, you know. They gave him off, and they just gave him some injections 1 week because he was so swollen and fatigued. They didn't want him to get to where he couldn't walk or something like that. And then let's see, he started with the Hurricane Barry was coming, and he still had to take his chemo. So what they did was they gave him the shots that week. Yeah. They gave him the shots that week. We went through the hurricane good, you know, just lost lights for a few days, but we did okay. My sister was still with us at that time. Let's see. And we found out Hillary was pregnant, which we were so excited. She was already 5 weeks, and we was counting the weeks. And that's when she found out, you know, that. So August was a good month. August was a very good month. So after August, my sister decided to go back and live with her son, Jason, and his family a while and help them. And she had been with us 2 years. And boy, I missed her. I cried because I didn't want her to go. I mean, she was doing so much for me that I didn't realize how much she was doing. And maybe I overdid it with her. And I'm sorry for that. She was a big part in raising Marley. She, you know, she helped me with him since he was born. And he was 2 when she left. And he didn't take it as bad as I thought he would take it, but he took it pretty bad, you know, because that's all he knew was his jaja, you know. And it was time for me to take over. And I knew I had to be strong and I had to do it. So I did it. With prayers and, you know. So that's how it worked. 1 week was chemo. 1 week was shots. 1 week was chemo. 1 week was shots. The shots, you know, helped him build up for the next week for the chemo. Well, fatigue was bad. He would come home and he couldn't do nothing except lay in the bed. That's all. He was so fatigued. When he gets off of work in the mornings, that's all. He's good. He can't do hardly anything. The fatigue is really, really bad. And the doctor told him it would take months to get that chemo out of his system to where he could do again and feel good about doing again. He still has not cut his grass, but it has grown. He wants to do so much that he can't do it. He don't listen. He don't listen at all. Our garage door broke. I said, leave the damn thing broke. He wanted it fixed. All right. So him and the boys, they tried, and then they couldn't get it. Brand new door sitting up there. Then finally, they got it going, and he was standing on the ladder, and I told him, get off that ladder. And sure enough, if Brian wouldn't have been there, he probably would have fell on his head. I mean, he was so wobbly, you know, he's very wobbly. He's very hard-headed when it comes to himself, but he did listen those few weeks that he knew he was sick. And he was scared, I think, so he listened. So yeah, that's our journey so far. So we have no more chemo. He can go take shots, whatever he feels fatigued, he can go get him a shot, vitamin B12. It perks him up like after the second day. He feels so much better. So we're gonna watch that, and he can go do that. He went and take his PET scan, his new PET scan in CT, and it was normal, completely normal. So he has no other cancer cells as of yet in him, and we're crossing our fingers that it stays like that. His port stays in for 5 years. As long as he's cancer free for 5 years, they're gonna try to keep it in unless it gets infected or something like that. And they can draw blood from it when he goes. He has to go every 3 weeks for lab work. And we have to find a new doctor because our wonderful Dr. Angie as everybody knows, had a heart transplant in the middle of all this. And we all have to find new doctors. We're going to go, I think, to Dr. Viator. They say he's really nice. And that's what Charbonnet said, too, for Bubba, to follow up. His sugar's kind of high, and we're watching it. Again, we're back on the keto diet. We're not sure if the chemo made it like that or not, because he had it under control before the surgery, and he had it under control before the cancer. So we're thinking that might have, knocked it out of whack for a while. I'm just worried he drives in my car now because the shift, he has a Jeep. We might sell the Jeep and get him something else, or sell the Jeep and my car, because I don't need a car. I don't go nowhere at night. And I don't trust myself by myself at night. So if I need to go somewhere at night or something, Hillerman's up the road, Ron's in town, I don't need nobody. So, yeah, I'm not going to sweat that. I mean, if we can make it on two vehicles, he could sell it and get more for it, we will. And we don't want nothing to do, but we want something dependable and something I can get in and something he can get in and not have to shift like that, because that hurts his sight, and we don't want nothing to happen to it, and since he's weak, he can't hold, sometimes he can't feel his feet, and you have to drive, so that's kind of scary. But my son works with him now, and that's good, and his brother works there, and my sister-in-law. So if ever something happens, they're there. Of course, they're not there at night, but Brian's there at night right now. So I worried a lot about that, if something would happen to him, So yeah, that's our story so far. So we are waiting on the baby in a few months, a new baby, and the baby's name is going to be Parker Joseph Tab. And she is so excited, and we're excited for her, and Marley's excited, and we all excited. So hopefully this year is going to be good for us. Hopefully his PET scan's going to stay normal, and that financially we can get back on our feet. And that's something I want to talk to everybody about. Everybody was telling me to start to GoFundMe, and Bubba is so proud of me. I mean, he would never. And at first he said no, And I said, well, Bubba, let's just try. I said, this is all our friends, and everybody knows you have cancer, and I'll just keep it up a few days, And well, people started texting me, and they wanted to give, and they want to make sure that we got it and all that. And it was wonderful, and it was so nice. Oh, when I'd see the donations come in, I just would cry, because I couldn't believe that so many people loved us, and so many people wanted to help us. And we used almost all of that money, I can promise you, to keep our home, and to keep us going for those months, because it was hard. When you go from one salary to half a salary, and I'm not working anymore, and it was hard, and I cannot work with my problems. It was hard. I mean, we thought we'd have to sell the house or downsize for sure. And this is our home, and this is where I want my grandchildren to remember us by, And I know things happen, and you have to go with the flow, but it really, really helped us a lot. I mean, we didn't have to worry. My bills were paid. We had groceries. Because we could not get no help. Can you imagine? Nothing. He never got disability. We never got any kind of help. I tried, and they wanted me to try. Caden Home Health tried for us. They denied everything, which is the system, the people that need it and can't get it. And I'm not a proud person when it comes to that, because I figure, I have given all these years to people, and, if I'm going to ask for something, it's really bad, because I don't ask for nothing, And, so yeah, thank y'all so much for that, and I'm glad I did it. And I think he's glad we did it. People are still donating. I still have it up under my site, but it dwindles. Somebody texts me and asks me where it's at, and we get checks in the mail, and it's like Christmas, because we use every cent um, for us, to have things, and then now we start a new year, new deductible, because he had met his deductible at the end, to where we didn't have to pay for no more medicines and all that, because we had to pay for all that at the beginning. And chemo is very, very expensive if you don't have medicine. We tried to get Medicaid when he was in the hospital. Nothing. As long as he worked, as long as he was on the working status, which we wanted him to stay like that, because he was determined he was going back to work. We couldn't get anything, but that's that, and that's life, and that's how it goes. But I just want to tell everybody thank you, because they are wonderful people in this world, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to give to somebody, especially if it doesn't have to be much. It adds up, and I did it through PayPal. They would take out $1-2 maybe at the most. People was worried about me not getting the money, and I never had a problem with it. I never had a problem. It would go straight to my checking account. I never had a problem with it. So if you need to know about PayPal and all that, setting up a to-go fund, let me know, because I can help you set it up. It's not hard. And I mean, even if people don't give, at least they know what's going on, and they might give. I think the least you can give is $2 or something like that. I mean, because there's a fee, but it's not much. It goes by how much you give. So anyhow, that's that. And I wanted to thank everyone. Just thank you from the bottom of my soul, my head to my toes, about everything that went on. And I want to thank my children for being there for their daddy, and I knew they would. They love their daddy. So I knew they would be there for him. And we are going to have a wonderful 2020. I just know it. I have to be positive. And for all our friends that we've lost recently, I think Mr. Bagno died sometime early this morning. I pray for his family. He was such a sweet, sweet person. You could not have, he didn't know a stranger. The man didn't know a stranger. He just was everywhere in town. And he just, Bubba loved him. Played ball with him for years. And we absolutely adored him. When my daughter was real sick, he called one day, and I was just, could you imagine? He's calling me, and he's got all these problems, He's just so, and Bubba being sick, he just constantly would check on him, and just a good person. They're good people, the Bagnos. That you can't find a better family. Also, I want to say the Boudreaux, they have been through so much in the last few months. It's just sad losing their sister and then their brother Clint. It was a shock, and I think Bubba, he would have loved to have gone to the funeral home, but we couldn't go. He took that hard because we were close. All of us were close. We're still close, some of us. I mean, it's not like we see everybody every day, but when we see each other, it's like we never left off, And yeah, I want to say some extra prayers for those families, because that's some good. When you say good people, that's some good people. So yeah, it's just been a ride that I hope I never have to go on again. But there was a reason God did this to us, and I believe that it's gonna make us all closer, and my family, and it's gonna make everybody closer. I don't know if we could have been any closer, but it does bring, you do think of things that could happen to you now more than you did before. It was like, stop, stop and listen, because this is it. So anyhow, Do your colon guard, do your scope. If you're over 50 years old, get your scope. It's not much. It's not a big thing. Just go in there and get that done because it can be curable. It really, really can. And they can see a lot from inside. And like Brian's gonna have to take one at 40 because his daddy had, any of his siblings have to take it. Especially a brother. Jeff will have to take it early. But he already took one. So that's good. So yeah, keep up with that and listen to your bodies and don't ignore health problems. Get everything done that you need. The doctor wants you to have done. And don't be afraid to take medicine and stuff to get you well because there's too much out there that can help people nowadays, especially getting in our age now, which I can't believe we're getting in our age, My hair's all gray, but I like it. I like my gray hair. All right, guys. Thank y'all so, so much. And I'm going to go, and I did not cry. Bye.